व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनं शलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वर गुरुर्साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. First of all, Swamiji and Swamijis and your Reverend Self, Krishnaji, and all friends who are brothers and sisters and little ones sitting in front of me. I'm going to speak in English because from the time we started the Padayatra from Kanyakumari to wherever we are going, I've been talking every day in Malayalam. And all our friends who have come from all over the country and abroad, they just sit there and listen happily. I don't think they understand anything which I'm trying to... I'm sure they understand some words because I've been repeating this over and over again. So today, I will speak in English. First of all, I don't want to speak too much about the Padayatra because this is not the occasion to speak about it. Also, there is so much material available, printed notices are there. You might have seen a film on the Padayatra. I would rather go a little more into a spiritual satsang than on what we are doing. Although this walk is a result of spiritual experience. It's not a walk meant only for social reformation. It comes from my heart. It's apt that we are sitting here in this Ananda Ashram, which was where Swami Ramdas, who is known as Papa Ramdas, lived. And after that, Pujya Mataji, after that, I am in some way an unfortunate soul because I have not personally met either of them. But there was a wonderful finished product from them. Swami Sachidananda was here. I've met him several times. And from them and from the literature available, I could understand in some way, to the best of my capacity, what was being conveyed to us. If you go up there, you will see many of the boards. You enter the hall, the mandir, on the left side, you will see some of the excerpts from Papa Ramdas. Today when I entered, I was reading it. It looked to me as if, minus the actual Padayatra, he was saying the same thing. Really. It's just you take out that Padayatra and leave the thing, and there you will find everything there. He says the oneness of nature, the oneness of human beings, the essential divinity of the soul. This is the essence of a spiritual life. All I am attempting to do is to walk among the people, talk about it, and try to bring about a feeling of oneness. We are living in a climate today. When I say climate, not physical climate. We're living in a situation today where all over the world there is violence. We've come to such a state that there are even people who say that violence is your natural way of life. It's a terrible thing to say. I met somebody the other day. He said, violence is our normal way of life. We don't know anything about non-violence. I said, Krishnamurti apart, this is a dangerous thought to have in mind. So, this is a time when we should be on guard and try to promote the understanding that all human beings are basically good. It sometimes, during certain situations, it gets a little clouded. It's our duty, especially those who have had some kind of a spiritual experience, to remove that dirt and the darkness and bring back the light that eternally exists. It's not something that we have to give somebody. It's there already, clouded by doubts, clouded by desires, clouded by anger. If we can help people to remove this, that is the best thing that we can do. Then the aim of this Padayatra also is fulfilled. I know that in this ashram there are so many people living peacefully here. They are not walking with us. I am not discouraging the walkers, please. They are not walking with us. But I am sure in mind they are on the walk, because walking, as I always said, is not simply walking from Kanyakumari to Kashmir and coming back. It is to be accompanied parallelly by the internal journey of walking from ignorance to understanding, from hatred to love, from impurity to purity, from agitation to silence. This journey has to be there. If this journey doesn't take place, we will go to Srinagar and come back and nothing will happen. Reason? We have to change first. Again, I just now saw some of the quotations. I can't exactly quote. From school I have been very bad at memorizing. But I can tell you the essence. Thank God I am bad at memorizing. The essence is that ultimately, unless I change, I cannot change the world. If I don't change, I cannot talk about change to others. It's hypocrisy to talk about change when I am not changing myself. And if I change, I don't have to do a thing. I'm not talking about myself. As an individual, if you change, you don't have to do nothing. People will change. They come in contact with you. They will realize, first they might say this fellow is a nut. But after a while, they will realize that there's something beautiful in this person. Why can't we live like this? Why not? And it's possible to do so in the midst of all circumstances. One doesn't have to run away somewhere. Look at Papa. He ran away. He wandered many years. 26 years? 26 years he wandered. 23 years. 1 year. 1 full year he wandered. Then he came back and settled down. Because wandering, he found out things, and after settling down, he brought them into expression. So, this is what we are trying to do. This inner journey is so very important. I have wandered before alone for years with Maheshwarnath Babaji. I said, let others who are with me also learn what it is like to wander. Otherwise, I promise I would not have put you into so much trouble. Every day with blisters and leg aches and stomach problems, and here somebody is gone. I used to call her Kaya Kalpa, and she's in hospital. So the idea is that this is a yajna. It's a kind of a tapasya which we are doing so that first we purify ourselves, improve ourselves, and then transfer that to people who we meet, who live with us, who are together with us. Also, try to pass it on to people who are not even with us, who are outside, who are away from us. Because from the point of view of spiritual understanding, there is nobody who is other than us. Nobody. We think, he is different, I am different. In the essential matter, there is nobody who is different. Everyone is the same. This is the vision of Manava Ekata, that all human beings are ultimately the same. And this silence in the heart has to happen through one's search for ultimate. Even if the search begins, in the beginning there is a lot of churning happening in the mind. When the Samudra Manthan was done, according to the Bhagavatam, the first thing that came out was poison before Amrit, before the nectar of immortality. So it's quite understandable that when you seriously begin to move into the spiritual field and there is a churning taking place, it's possible that a lot of poison would come out. But then there is always Shiva waiting to eat it up so that we are saved. So the concept of Shiva is actually the all-pervading supreme Shivam, which is auspiciousness and bliss, what the Tantras call Anantam Anandam Brahma. That happiness which has no end. The whole of our life revolves around that. Every one of us is seeking that state, probably without knowing that we are seeking for it. We seek for it. We think if we have one more house, I will be happier. If I have one more car, I might be happier. If I get married, I will be happier. I'm not saying you shouldn't get married, please. You may, if you like. If I have children, I will be happier. I meet hundreds of people and I haven't seen anyone, rich or poor. In fact, the poor have less problems generally, who don't have a problem. Otherwise, why would they come to me? Can you imagine that? I'll tell you a story. How much time do we have?
You can continue. Till as long as you like.
Okay. I will tell you a story, as long as my legs allow. There was one gentleman who later on came to be known as Tapasviji Maharaj. He was from Patiala. He was a Maharaja of Patiala. So, one day he decided that he had to expand his territory. You know, every king thinks that he has to expand his territory. Every corporate businessman thinks he has to expand his business. So, expansion. When expansion goes without any control, then it becomes cancer. You know what cancer is? It has no bacteria, it has no virus, it has nothing. Some cells forget how to stop multiplying, and it becomes a cancer. Anyway, that is a different matter. So, the Maharaja of Patiala decided that he had to expand his territory. Those days, you couldn't do any such thing without the permission from the emperor in Delhi. So he came to the emperor, Mughal emperor, was at that time the last weak, we call him weak, but I think he was not weak, he was intelligent, Bahadur Shah Zafar. So after a great deal of getting permission and so on, he was allowed to meet the emperor. So he met the emperor. When he met the emperor, he put forward his idea that he wanted to expand his empire. So I want permission to do that. Plus, please give me some more arms and ammunition and a general and some soldiers so that I can expand my territory. The emperor said, all right, this can be done. But there are two things I want you to think about. One, do you think that by expanding Patiala's territory, you will become happier? Two, if I give you a general and a small army, probably it will be a Pathan general whom I will give you. You will take him, he will help you to occupy the extra territory. Afterwards, if he declares that this territory is mine, what will you do? Can you send him out? You may not be able to do that. Then he said, please look outside the window of the Red Fort. He looked out. Under a tree, there was a fakir sitting, wearing patched robes with a begging bowl in his hand. Nothing else, barefoot, sitting under a peepal tree outside the Red Fort. Apparently the tree still survives. I haven't seen it. And he said, look at the face of that fakir out there. He looked. The fakir was in eternal joy. He was laughing to himself, looking at the sky with a begging bowl in one hand. What a contradiction. He said, now you look at my face. Who looks happier? The emperor who sits in Delhi wearing a crown? Or that fellow sitting there without a penny, with a begging bowl in? Who is happier? Look. Now after you have thought about it, please come back and I will help you. This man, the Maharaja of Patiala, left the place, never came back. Nobody knew where he went. He went away somewhere. Many years passed. His younger brother, after waiting for a long time, which is the family which is continuing now, became the king. Because he waited, nobody came, so the younger brother became the king. Then, after some years, the then Maharaja of Patiala, who was the younger brother, wanted to go on a pilgrimage to Badrinarayan. So you know how they go, with a big retinue of people along with them, like our walk, except that we don't have arms. So they went, everybody. Somebody advised them, adu poi. Somebody advised them that if you're going on such a dangerous journey, which is very far away, you are going to such a big pilgrimage to Badrinath. You know, in those days it was so dangerous to go so far. Even today it's not easy to go. So before that, go and take blessings from some holy man. So the Maharaja said, but where is the holy man? You go to Lakshman Jhula. There's a cave there and there is a holy man there. So please go and get blessings from him. So they said, okay. They went. The Maharaja entered the cave. His whole soldiers entered. They saw a tall, matted-haired yogi sitting with a big beard. Probably by the time I reach Srinagar, this will also become like this. And he bowed down and said, Maharaj, please bless us. We are going to Badrinath. The Maharaj opened his eyes and said, may we come back safe. He said, Tathastu, so be it. When he said Tathastu, the voice, the then king of Patiala said, my God, this is my brother's voice. So he looked at his eyes and he saw those powerful eyes which was once accustomed to finish off an opponent at one stare. But now they were peaceful eyes. So he bowed down to him and said, brother, please come back to Patiala. Because you are not there, I have become the king. Please come back. The yogi said, what did you call me when you came here? I said, Maharaj. I have become the Maharaj of the universe now. Patiala is a very small state. You go back and look after. Why? Because instead of seeking to expand Patiala, he had found the essence in his heart, which is a small part of the all-pervading Supreme Being, sitting in every heart as the Antaryami, as the deity. According to the Gita, the Kshetrajna, sitting inside the Kshetra, which is the human body. So we are all temples of the living God. Now this statement comes from St. Paul. Ye are the temples of the living God, and the Spirit of God dwells in you. You have heard of Kabir Das. Kabir Das has this beautiful story about the Kasturi Mriga. In the Himalayas, you find this musk deer. It's called Kasturi Mriga. In certain seasons, there's a small little pouch behind under its belly, where Kasturi is, what is Kasturi? Musk. You know musk. No, there are many perfumes. Musk for men. So, this actually the purpose of the musk is to attract the female deer. So, in certain seasons, the fragrance of musk comes from this pouch and spreads into the air. Beautiful fragrance. And this poor deer, when I say poor deer, it means D-E-A-R and also D-E-E-R. The poor deer, wondering where the fragrance is coming from, not knowing that it is coming from under its belly, goes around looking for it everywhere, puts its snout into thorny bushes and gets bleeding. Still doesn't discover where it's coming from. It's coming from under the belly. This wonderful fragrance of kasturi in the heart, like the kasturi deer, the human being has kasturi in his heart, said Kabir. If you find that, then you have found what Tapaswiji Maharaj found and refused to go back and be the king of little Patiala. Then you are free. This whole universe is yours. Of course, you don't have the sense of possessing it. In fact, the greatest obstacle to it is the sense of possessing it. This world is all a manifestation of the Supreme Being. Entire world. If it is, and if it belongs to the Supreme, what can you possess anyway? And how long can you possess? 50 years, 60 years, 70 years. Today with medical help, maybe 80 years. After that, what? These are facts. I am not trying to be negative. These are facts. You look at the history of any living being. One man was poor. He was a pauper. Then he made a lot of money. Then he became a big man. And then you keep asking, then what happened? Then he died. Another man was a very rich man. He lost everything. He was on the streets. Keep asking, then what happened? Then he died. Another man became a great scholar. He knew all the scriptures. Then what happened? Then he died. This dying is a common factor. So, in this beautiful world that you see with your five senses, how long will this last? First, either even if the buildings last, you are no more there to enjoy the buildings. Gone. And then you'll be somewhere, rest in peace. Maheshwarnath Babaji, my guru, used to say that RIP is not rest in peace. It means rise if possible. The last rest is over. Everybody dies on this earth. Is there something in us which is immortal? We are saying, all the great sages have said, that what's essential and which is everlasting is that spark of the all-pervading Supreme Being, which the Upanishad calls Isha Avashyamidam Sarvam Yatkincha Jagatyam Jagat. That is the only thing that is there always. It's not confined to the body, but the human being can find it first only through himself, not through outside. Once this is found, then there is unending happiness inside, independent of external factors. The only thing is, when you have that, there is an irresistible urge to share it with others. That's all. And that sharing need not necessarily mean that you will go along talking or walking or something like that. it also means that one can sit and teach in silence. Now I've become like a machine. Every evening I have to speak because we have. But it can also be done through silence. But if you sit silent, the organizers say, we have told them that there is a satsang, so you have to speak. Not here. I say, people expect you to speak. So if you sit in silence, what will happen? If you sit in silence, you'll see what will happen. I'm reminded of another story. It's easier to express these matters in story form. Kadavarayum Neram. Because the Bhagavatam is a collection of beautiful stories. And they convey the message which the Brahma Sutra, which is so complicated to understand, conveys. And both were authored by Vedavyasa. So this is about a great scholar called Kavyakanta Ganapati Shastrigal. He's a very well-known scholar from the south who has written so many commentaries on Upanishads. He had studied everything that you think have to be studied by a sadhak or a jijnasu. Upanishad, Brahma Sutra, Sri Vidya Upasana, Saundarya, this whole thing. But he still found, with all this knowledge and all this understanding, that he couldn't touch the core of the matter. There was always a barrier before him. He couldn't break the barrier. So he was wandering, looking for someone who would help him. He reached Tiruvannamalai. Somebody told him, there is one, at that time Ramana Maharshi was not known to anyone. Somebody said, go up to the hill, the Arunachala hill, in a cave. There is a Brahmana Swami sitting. Nobody knew him as anything else. Go to him and see, maybe he can help you. So he climbed up and went to him and sat in front of him. Have you seen any pictures of Ramana Maharshi with his eyes closed? I don't think. Nobody has seen. Eyes are always open. People say, was he meditating or not at all? But for him, there was no outside and there was no inside. It was all the same. You need to close only if you have to cut off and go with it. But once you have touched that, there is no going in or going out. It's the same. Anyway, his eyes were open. He saw him sitting in front of a cave, a thin man with a cowpeen, and looking without focusing far away with his eyes open. He sat there for some time. I'm sure he must have waved and all, but nothing happened. He sat for quite some time until, patiently, not like some people we meet, suddenly they jump in and say, just now I want Kriya Yoga. No? Yeah, no. He sat patiently for some time and then suddenly Maharshi focused his eyes on him, saw him. As soon as he realized that he saw him, and then he did this. You know that Maharshi ever spoke? He spoke very little. So he did this. This man went off into a beautiful discourse on everything that he had done in his life. I'm sure it must have taken 10 minutes. Because he said he has done this, he has done that, I have done this, I have done this, everything I have done. Then he said, the barrier is there, it is not breaking. Now what else should I do? Maharshi sat quietly for some time. Then he smiled. Then he said, Konja neram chumma irukka mudiyuma. Can you shut up for a while, if you put it literally? Can you keep quiet for a while? Because all the time he was saying what I am doing, I have done this, I have done that, that I had become so strong that it was impossible to break the barrier. So, if you can think about these matters, this is a satsang. When you have a satsang, it's not a discourse. You're not listening to, it has to get in. And then swadhyaya has to be done. Vichara has to take place about it. Go home, think about it. I will give you a perfect example of the total annihilation of the ego in a living being. I'm not talking about Maheshwarnath Babaji or anybody. Very recently, I don't think he had any ego left. It was washed off. And what was the medicine he used? Different people take different medicines. It only used Ram Nam. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. I don't think he had any other weapon. Of course, he had the great advantage of having served Papa and Mataji for many years. That grace is always there. The grace is required. But the grace can't flow until you break your, I am doing this, I am doing that. That ahamkara has to go. This example I am giving you is somebody who lived not very long ago. I have known Swami Satchidananda for some years now. First time I came here, then again I came here. Third time I came here, Maheshwarnath Babaji always had told me, wherever you are, whatever you have reached, if you see a holy man, take his help. I said to him, Babaji, but you have given me all the help that is required. I don't think, he said, there, your ego has come. He said, when you see someone, bow down and take help. So when I came for a few days and talked with him, the simplicity of the matter, said one day, come, let us go and see the dairy farm. Come, have a cup of coffee here. Today I was drinking a cup of coffee, I was just thinking. So one day, I kind of trumped up the courage to say, I have not taken Ram Nam from Papa or Mataji because I have never met them. If ever I want to take Ram Nam, I would take it from someone like you. Will you give me Ram Nam? Babaji had always said, always be a student, never become a teacher. So I said, I will remain a student. I asked him. He laughed. He said, you're serious? You really want to take this? I said, I'm very serious. But why? You don't need it. I said, no, don't say that. Don't say I don't need it. He said, no. Then he said, okay. Anyway, it doesn't matter because I don't give Ram Nam. Papa gives Ram Nam. And I was wondering how he is saying this. I thought maybe he would sit in Samadhi and then Papa would speak through him or some such thing. So one morning I got ready. He had asked me to come. I went there. He said, sit down. First of all, he said, did you have food? This, that. I said, yes. Are you comfortable? I'm comfortable. Sat down. Then he called somebody. Said, bring me that tape recorder. And then he told that person, you go now. He put on the tape. He said, this is the voice of Papa. And I heard, Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. He said, I am not your guru. Papa is your guru. Take the mantra. Chant it. I said, shall I go out? No, sit here and chant. For half an hour, I was swimming in bliss, in happiness. And then when I thought that I had lost myself, he said, go. What I am trying to say is there are still the people living like this. These are not things written in textbooks. There are actual human beings. Some of them may be unknown. You may not even know who they are or where they are. But they are there. They may not have any external paraphernalia of a saint because we have ideas. A saint has to be like this. He may not be. The man who opens the door for you may be a great yogi. How do you know? So, lest you miss a teacher who may be in a form that you don't recognize to be a teacher, I will tell you a last story today and stop this satsang. After that, we will meditate quietly, chant Sri Ram Nam in your mind and sit quietly. Before that, I will tell you, this comes from a Sufi source. It's a very interesting story. There was a man who, when he was very young, it's a Sufi story, it has to be based in the Middle East somewhere. When you say young man, he was born very, very poor. So, he wanted to make some money and become a big man. Now, in that context, to be a big man means to become a merchant with caravans. But he also had this great desire for spiritual fulfillment. But somehow, the desire for wealth overtook the desire for spiritual fulfillment. That little flame remained without turning into a fire. So he became a rich man. He put all his mind into it. He became a very rich man. When he turned 55, he decided, all that money can give I have experienced. I am not satisfied. There must be something beyond. Then he thought to himself, there was this little spark of spiritual enquiry in my heart. Let me reignite it. So he gave away all his properties to his sons and daughters, kept just enough money to make a small cottage in an oasis. In the East, in the Middle East, you don't have this much of beautiful water and greenery. Wherever there is little water, it's called an oasis. In fact, when Ali, the nephew of, the cousin of the Prophet of Islam, Muhammad, describes paradise, one or two places he says it is like Hind, Al-Hind, like India. Because the trees and the waters and the mountains. So, that is a small oasis where there was plenty of water. So he decided to build a small house there and live. Took all the books which he had gathered over time, read, meditate, and so on. So he went. Now, having lived as a rich man for so many years, he couldn't even make a cup of tea. So he went to the village and found a cook and took him with him. So he was studying and meditating and doing all these things, and the cook made food for him. After 7 years, it occurred to him that this thing which I am seeking cannot be found without a teacher, without a guru. In Middle Eastern terms, without a murshid or a sheikh. So, he started looking for a teacher, walking here and there. In the deserts, there used to be a lot of hermits living. So he went to them, he checked them out, he was not satisfied. Finally, he found a man with a long beard, grey beard, and a green turban like this. Not you. Ongla solalla. And long robe and so on. So he went to him and greeted him, held his hands, kissed his hands and said, "Can you become my teacher? I am looking for a guru." This man said, first of all, "How do you know that I am a holy man? How do you recognize? Is it because I have a beard?" Anyway, that is a second. That's not important. The important thing is, you said, "Make me your disciple." I cannot make you your disciple. I said, "Why?" "Because I can't take you as a disciple without permission from my guru. I have to ask my guru and take you as a disciple." So this man said, "That is very simple. Please go and ask your guru and take me as your disciple." He said, "No, that is the whole problem. For 7 years, my guru has disappeared somewhere. I cannot find him. If I find him, then I will ask permission and then make you the disciple." He said, "But where is he? I am searching for him." He said, "Can you describe him to me? Because I will also help. Both of us can search." So the man said, "Well, he's a short, thin man. Upper body is always bare. He only has a small cloth tied and a towel on his left shoulder. But there's something, he is a very good cook. He cooks very well. So this man said to himself, this description fits my cook who has been with me for 7 years. He said, sir, please can you come with me home? I'd like you to check up. So he said, all right. So they went. When they entered the cottage, the kitchen door opened and the cook came out with a towel. As soon as this holy man saw the cook, he prostrated before him and said, oh my Guru, where were you all these years? He said, I was with this fellow for 7 years. So he said, but this man is still looking for a Guru. He said, yes, it took me 7 years to make him realize that he needed a Guru. I did it silently through cups and cups of tea. He said, then now that he has realized that he needs a Guru, I think you should take him under your fold, because I have other work to do, and walked out of the house. What I am trying to say is nobody knows where the spiritual teacher comes. There are no features by which you can recognize. Yes, there is one feature. There will be no ego. He will not consider you as different from himself. And the complete sense of agency won't be there. If you say, oh, you're doing a wonderful thing, he'll say, that's what the Supreme Being is doing. Such a person eats, drinks, sleeps, wakes, goes about everything that he does without being conscious that he is the agent. The agent is always the Supreme Being. With this, I want to stop today's, because my knees are still aching a bit after walking every day. So we can chant Ram Nam a few times and then stop chanting, chant in the mind and meditate. First we'll chant together. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. 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 Now we'll chant in the minds and meditate.